Okay, today we are going to be cooking a slow cooker pot roast, but we're going to add a Caribbean flair. It's basically the same kind of pot roast, except we're going to add a bunch of spices. So what we will need is 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, approximately a 2 to 3 pound boneless beef chuck roast, 1 jalapeno pepper diced, 3 cloves of garlic crushed, 1.5 chopped red onion, 1 teaspoon kosher salt, 1 tablespoon brown sugar, 1.5 teaspoons chili powder, 1.5 teaspoons oregano, 1.5 teaspoons ground cumin, 1 teaspoon coriander, 1/4 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1 tablespoon all-purpose flour, zest of 1 orange, 1 can of tomato sauce. As well, for today we are adding 1 potato and 2 carrots diced. So we start at the very beginning by browning our roast on all sides, which we have done at this point, partly to save time. And when your roast is properly browned on all sides, you will move it over to the slow cooker and let it rest for a little bit. And then to the same pan, we are going to now add, on medium-high heat, or at least high to medium-high, yeah, we will add the onions, the garlic, and the jalapeno. And then we will fry this for a few minutes to just soften the onion up a little bit. As this recipe calls for a lot of spices, this is really, it has to be made for each person's spice level. Especially the chili powder that we will be using today is extremely hot. As the camera pan, you probably saw the bottle say hot chili. So depending on what chili powder you use, you may not need to use as much, or you may wish to use more. Using red onions also gives it a little bit more of a spicier taste. For the jalapeno peppers that are being fried right now, because jalapeno peppers come in various different heats, we generally tend to use pickled peppers. And pickled jalapenos, they give you a pretty consistent high heat. So we will continue to stir fry this for a few minutes. So once the onions and the jalapenos and the garlic have fried together for about 5 to 6 minutes, that's probably enough to soften the red onions. At that point, we're basically going to add all of the other ingredients. All but the tomato sauce. And then we stir fry this for about another minute to 2 minutes. Just enough to get the flavors out. As you stir fry it, there should be a punch of flavor coming out of the pan as the ingredients all heat up. Keep stir frying, getting it nicely mixed. The more you mix it, the more of the flavor will be coming right out of the pan. So you can smell the cooking very well, or you'll smell the flavors blending together very well. And finally, after about a minute or a minute and a half, watch what's on the back of your spatula. There's a lot of red chili on mine. Take the tomato sauce and you pour it in. And reduce the heat a little bit so it doesn't spurt out as much. And then you just mix it up. Combine it well. Turn off your stove so you can take out the heat. And then you will simply take this and pour it in gently over the roast. Make sure to get as much of that sauce as you can into the pot. Once that is in, you need to coat the roast. So grab a couple of spatulas and just rotate the roast inside, coating it on all sides so the flavor goes through. As you will notice, this is different from pot roast in that there isn't going to be not a whole lot of liquid in the pan. And that's okay, because we're going to cook this now on low for a good 6 hours at least. So it's going to be cooking on low for approximately 6 hours, and then we will come back and see. So just before we start that, we will also add potatoes and carrots. You can just dunk them lightly in. They'll just heat up and steam up over the 6 hours and cook very nicely. So once we've coated the beef on all sides and we've added the potatoes and the carrots, we basically close it and we set the slow cooker on low. And take a look at your clock. It's approximately 12:30 right now for us. So we will cook it for about 6 hours and take a look around 6:30 this evening. So at the end of 6 hours, you simply lift the lid and your roast should be ready to come out. You can turn the crock pot off. I would rotate the roast once in the sauce just to get it nice and wet. And then using two spatulas, heavy spatulas, you drop it onto a plate. You can always drop some of the other stuff onto the plate as well. And as it sits, let me just grab a knife and I will cut it so you can see what the roast is like when it is being cut. So, if done well, it should simply fall apart as pieces of meat. And then you would simply serve this on top of rice, preferably a cilantro lime rice that has a little bit of flavor, and that would be your Caribbean roast beef. My plating is not always the greatest, but here's one way of doing it, where you would put the rice at the bottom and then put the meat on top, followed by the potatoes and the carrots on the side. Hope the food tastes delicious and enjoy making this very easy meal, a just simple take of Caribbean flavors on a very traditional pot roast.